Since I've always been a photographer, like Willem Sizoo was like, oh, that's the photograph guy, or the Instagrammer dude. But once I started Pre-Reserved, I already did some other things like consultancy and setting up marketing campaigns on social media, that type of stuff. But Pre-Reserved was like, in the beginning, it became really like an excuse to do all other creative stuff, or at least outputs, and put it underneath there. And now it's becoming more of a creative output for anyone really, and not just for me, but for it's Pre-Reserved is not me. It's like everyone attached to it and that's involved with it. When we were like 9, 10, our older brother used to photograph a lot. We just play football, Bob and I, soccer all day, every day. He won like all these local competitions of photography. He won like everything related to photography. He was a good photographer at the age of like 11, 12 or something. And then Bob and I slowly started getting into photography more because, yeah, we played soccer, but on holiday you couldn't always do that. So we bought our first camera ourselves, 200 euros, 100 euros, by doing heitje voor karweitje. Don't know if you know what that is. It's like, is there an English translation for that? You just work as a young kid at neighbors' places and you get like 5 euros and then you earn enough money to pay for something. And there was a camera, at least for me. Then Instagram came about and that just started like everything, I guess.
Dance is such a big thing for me. I don't want to talk in styles anymore because movement has a certain message, what we speak. It's like a language, really like a language. And it's really hard to explain to people that not go often to performances or to, that not like really, engage with the language. And my movement is, I learned a lot about letting go. Because I always was like, okay, let me do for hip-hop freestyle, let me do locking. And the styles are important. It's really, really good to know the foundations and really know your own foundations, like where are you coming from and where are you going. But in the end, it's about you that are creating the movement. So I learned a lot about letting go instead of controlling my body. And like by letting go, you make use of the weight of your body. And that's like for me, I think one of the best things I find this year in my movement, to let go and use gravity. I'm calling myself an interdisciplinary artist, and I like dance the most. But dance is for me like a reason to move and like a reason to create. And when I'm creating, there are coming different disciplines that meet me at one certain point. But for me, it's more about storytelling. So in my dance, I'm telling stories. In my photography, I'm trying to tell stories.
Ja, bro. That's jokes.
So my twin brother Willem, he manages the photo studio next door. And he basically called us as soon as the space opened up. And we've been here for over a year now. So December 2019 we came in. And then COVID happened in March, I think. And since then I've been here almost every day painting and working on my craft together with my friends. It's been good. Yeah, it was a good timing to get a place like this because I can't imagine having spent the last year at home not being able to release any of the creative ideas or inputs that I have. I think it definitely does influence me. I don't know if it's good or bad because sometimes I feel like having all your paintings displayed 360 around you can be too much of an influence on the canvas you're working on at the moment. But I feel like having a space like this that's so big allows me to also do works that are bigger and more passionate than what I was making before. And also the exchange between like people that are dancing here or the beats being made over there. It's really nice to get a mix of creations, and it also you feed off each other like that. People walk in there, they get inspired by me. Dancers walk in there, I get inspired by them. So it's really an exchange, and I also think the studio as a whole, with the photo shoots being done downstairs, the other artists being in the other studios, it's just a nice creative environment that gets you, like you don't sit there and you're not gonna do nothing. It's really inspires you to work. So that's also what I'm doing, just getting everything out of the space as much as I can and enjoying it. For me, creativity is more a way of life. I feel like it's an inner need of everyone to express their feelings, their thoughts. Creativity is, I think, the best transmitter for that. And I see it very broadly. I feel like drill rap can also be creative. It's a very wide spectrum, and a lot of people are involved in it. And for me, it's really important for me. I feel like if I wasn't creative, it would be kind of a dull life. I think because I grew up basically on Instagram, I started posting photos on Instagram when I was 12, and Instagram kind of taught me the instant feedback loop. So I was posting photos and getting instant feedback, and it kind of taught me that at such a young age I was already confronted with getting recognition for stuff you do. And then I also noticed when I post stuff that weren't likable by my audience. So when I wasn't posting nature photos, but for example a canvas, I learned that there's a gap between what people expect of you and then what you make. And I learned, I think at a very young age, just to let go of this expectation that other people have of you. And it kind of taught me to trial and error every time while still having a platform to showcase the work. So I think the social media mentality really helped me out to break free from that certain like idea of like you gotta do this and you're a photographer so you should continue to make photos. I kind of let that loose after a while. And yeah, I think that contributed to it. Photography was a base of mine, so I used to buy photo books and all that. And after a while I was getting not fed up, but kind of frustrated of not having full control over my projects, because with photography and videography you're always involved with other people or the environment. And with painting I really found out that I have full control, and also I can work on it anytime I like, whether it's 3 a.m. or 1 p.m., it doesn't matter. So I really enjoyed the freedom in painting and the individuality in there. And since then I've been keeping at it, and that's one of the first ones I made. I think it also is a reference to the Instagram era where there's like, it's boxed, there's the orange square on the top right, and then there's the sentence, "This is meant to be seen," crossed out, which also refers to like the short-term attention span on social media, the constant eyes on your content, basically. And I feel this is kind of a counter movement to that young Bob Sizoo that was posting a lot of pictures and getting a lot of hype off it. I think it's kind of an internal and external counter position of me. But not on purpose, more of sort of happened naturally because I didn't feel very much at home in the constant feedback loop and all that. I think there's not someone particular I want to reach with it, though I'm already surprised by the people it reached until now without having exhibited it yet, because people walk in there every day and it sort of creates a reaction from them. So I feel like the Yeah, getting people here organically is already a big win for me. But I feel like my work should be seen as a window to someone else's experience. So it could be interpreted by anyone in any form or way. But I also do think it's very much translation of the times, while still standing on top of the history and what has happened before us, kind of making people see it through a glass that's 2020, and kind of having them like, oh, because most of my paintings are very beautiful, but then you look longer and you're like, oh, there's a kind of a hidden message in there that's not too positive, or that makes me think critical. So that's, yeah, I think I just want people to ignite a spark in them and be like, oh, let me think again, or maybe I can inspire people. Anything works for me. For me, it's also really, I don't make the work to be exhibited, I make the work to make the work. And that's really, I keep doing that until I feel like I don't want to work anymore, and then I'll do something else. For now, it's really intuitive as well.
We have the main thing people will know now is the studio. So we have a physical studio which we rent out for commercial jobs and for editorial jobs, but as well as like friends that want to shoot stuff, and I shoot here too. And with the studio we have some nice furniture which people can use within their shoots, but it's also just a way to showcase our own aesthetic and our own interest in design further than just a nice chair. It's like actual nice stuff, I guess. Like some of the furniture is very famous, like this couch. It's more like an icon piece. But it's also here because if anyone is interested in buying it, that's possible. It's like a showroom concept, the same as you see the artwork up there. There used to be something different before, but someone bought the previous one, so now we replace it with a new one. Yeah, so this is me before Pre-Reserved, I guess. Already, like before Corona, I used to travel a lot. Back in 2019, I always had this Polaroid Instax camera with me, and I basically took pictures of everyone and everything. When you open up a studio, it's not like, oh, it's fully booked already. You have to really build it up. And Corona actually forced me to stay here and think about, okay, how are we going to do this? And I think we got out pretty okay. Beforehand, I was like always going here, going there, and now I'm really like in Amsterdam. I had never been in Amsterdam for such a long time. So for me, it was actually more like a good thing, I guess. Not really good, but there were positive sides of it, being here and being able to think everything out we're gonna do here this year and past year, and how we operate as a business, I guess. Because that was all new. Before I was just an individual going places, and now it's instead of going elsewhere to make cool things, we go here and try to make cool things and get others here to make cool things.
So what I'm gonna show you is the first collaboration with Bob, and this one was really fully improvised. Like, okay, me and Bob came together and we were like, okay, let's collaborate dance with paint, and we just played on music, we put a camera from above and we just went for it. And that's what I really like to learn, like to develop, and then when you did a project like this, to reflect later on. But sometimes you just need to go. It's really important. I think it's like a whole different perspective of dance, of movement. Because in a battle you move, you're like busy with like yourself and the other, like who's doing better, who has a better technique. But like with this collaboration, it's a whole different perspective on technique. It's like you have like different materials, so you have like different materials, you have like a whole different mind to move. So it's not to show off, like to think, okay, the other is there, and like, okay, I'm gonna battling you now. But like you're in the space together and you're researching what's the best way to move with certain material. And I think, yeah, that's a total different perspective on technique, yeah. Willem gave me a camera when I went on travel, and I was like, okay, let me make some pictures. Like it was not like I knew what I was doing, but just like the moments itself were so important for me, and that was what came out. Yeah, I still need to decide what I'm gonna do with these pictures, and they're really special to me. Because it was like my first journey on my own, and also my first moment that I got in touch with photography. So this one, yeah, these two are really like one of my favorites. And this one is more like really the moment, and I can really relate because my father is Chinese as well. And yeah, it's just like the whole setting, also my roots. When I put myself there, before the trip to China or Korea, I never had been there. And I put myself there, I went alone, and then you get like so much information and inspiration. So I think for me, the inspiration comes from putting myself in situations I never have been.
I moved in with Jinko 2 years ago, and we just got along very well, and that kind of just created very much roots for us to step on together. The first project we did together was in Shanghai. I did a music video for an EDM artist with 2 other friends of mine. We do music videos, and we needed a stunt actor, so we needed someone to dodge all the slaps, and Jinko was already in China, so that's when we first worked together. We flew him into Shanghai, and then we did a cool project, and I think since then we've been working on multiple stuff. It's just natural for us to work together. We live together, so why not work together? And also in Corona period we had, because we were the only ones that were seeing each other regularly. Everyone was locked out in their home, and we were kind of felt like we were the last ones on this earth, and we were going to the studio and back home every day by bike in a deserted town. And then naturally the possibility for us came up to work on something. The project that I did with Jinko is kind of to have a release for all the chaos during the Corona period, because we did the first version I think in March, and that was for us very experimental and more of a, let's just see what happens when we do this. So that's what we did, and then we saw what happened, and we were like, okay, this is interesting, we can add different facets to this. So then early December, we did another performance with 4 other dancers, and we also added live music, so a drummer and a violin player to create more of a contrast between those 2 styles coming together as well. And I think for us the main thing was for us and the dancers ourselves to have this experience and to release this tension or this, all this caught up energy of 2020. But to communicate, it's also, when you watch the performance, it's a 45-minute performance. So after 50 minutes, I think you're done with your judgment, because it's so abstract. You see, there's no rules, there's no rhythm for you to find out. So I feel like again, the work is very much of a mirror, and it's not really about the end result. It's not about the painting, how it looks in the end, but it's more about all the layers that are like stuck underneath the final result. So yeah, also with that work, I feel like it's free to interpret for everyone, and for me it was very interesting to mix the disciplines. And it's also not as if we're done with it now, but it's still a research.
So I think nowadays I do 2 photo shoots a month, With before, like this year, it was maybe once every 2 months, and now we're getting back into it. But it's more like time is more efficiently used now. I spend less time doing all kinds of sourcing of people because I already have a set team, I guess. And then I also have a studio, which is quite easy to shoot at. But I still shoot quite a lot, so I'm not unhappy about that, I guess. How do I keep calm? I try to, like with everything, I try to go about it in some sort of structured way, not really structured, but I have my own way of working, basically. It's more something subconsciously, I guess, like, because I'm really in it. It's not like I'm out there looking like, oh, why do I do this? But it's more like continuously workflow of creating more, creating better, and giving out more opportunities for others too. Because I've realized I've done photography the past 5-6 years, seen many fellow photographers and fellow creatives that do crazy stuff too. And with Pre-Reserve, I think I can offer like those people that are more creative than me, in my opinion, but not as commercial maybe, or not as connected, an opportunity to create for themselves too. So that motivates me too, to give opportunities instead of doing everything myself.
My intention in my work, I think it's about like giving other people also, like shining my own light, but also giving the opportunity to let others shine their light. And especially when I direct videos, like where I really, what I really like to do with my like intensity is to like choose people that I know like are not there yet, but like to give them that less push, for example. And I'm not the person who decides if they need that less push, but I'm the person that sees like a chance or opportunity. I think this environment goes further than my art. It's like really like a part of my life, like a big part of my life. When I'm not in school, I really love to be here, even when it's cold, even when it's hot. I just love to be here because it's like, it felt like a safe zone. And I think that's really important, also in my art, but also outside of art. I can, when I don't feel nice, or when I just like have a day off, I come in here and sometimes it can change my whole mood. And that's something I really appreciate about this space.
For me, 2020 was, I think, the best year. I produced the most works, but that's also because I had a studio available to myself. But yeah, the moment lockdown started, I was here with Jinko, and we both were like, we're not gonna let this stop us from creating, because it might hinder us in the daily life and in social groups and all that, but we can still go to the studio, so we should do that. We should take all of the happenings around us and just translate it into our work in any way or form. And I feel like for me that has it has really fueled me in a way, that to see like the whole world going crazy and me being able to sit here silently and kind of transmit all the craziness into stories that are relevant today, because I feel like that also some of the work really got added value because of all the events. I feel like there's a more saturated subjects that were saturated before are more saturated now because of the whole pandemic and the whole racial discussion this year. And yeah, I feel like it's been a good year to observe and to channel that into work.
This year was like up and down, and because we got a lot of restrictions, art has also like a movement against all the restrictions. And I see this also in hip hop, you know, like when people got like really restricted and really there's an urge to express.
So this is the new space, under construction. Yeah. It's a sad year for most people though. I also have a few people that said like, yeah, 2020 amazing. for themselves personally then. But for me personally, it was a very good year, I guess. Like it's really the people always say like, yeah, next year gonna be my year, but I guess time goes so quick. I never set goals and stuff like that, but I think I'm already executing things for 2021 and 2022, which are a result of what was built this year, I guess. And what was built this year could have been built because of all the time you had this year, because we had quite some time.